All right, so I'm joined here tonight from the Democratic Republic of the Congo by Ilunga Makabu'S trainer, Damien Durandt. And firstly, Damien, welcome to SA Boxing Talk. I understand that you got there to the DRC recently. How's everything?
And compliments of the new year. All the best to come for you and obviously SA Boxing Talk.
Thank you.
I arrived in Kinshasa on Monday morning. Everything's going great here. We trained Monday, we trained today, so everything's on track. Visited the area where the fight will be. It's like in a sports complex, so everything's on track. Everything's looking good. A lot of the people are starting to arrive this evening and tomorrow, so excited.
How big? Junior must be the biggest Congolese superstar. How are you expecting the crowds to be like?
Well, I stand to be corrected, but I think if Makabu wins on Friday night, he'll be the first ever Congolese world champion. So it's history to be made. You can see we get into the car and people in the streets are greeting him. We go to the gym for training. Everyone's greeting him, saluting him. They're calling him Champion du Monde, which is champion of the world. So it feels good to be here. He's very popular amongst the public. You can see even the politicians are receiving him well. So it's actually nice to be here in the Congo. You know, we're so accustomed to traveling abroad and fighting overseas, and you're just seen as the outcast. You come with the boxer and three other people, and that's about it. So it's nice for him to fight in his home country. He's fought here twice before. He knocked out Glenn Johnson in Kinshasa in 2014. He knocked out Taylor Mabika when I trained him in Kinshasa as well in 2018 August. So, it's nice to actually be here and have the people behind him for a change.
Yeah, the guy from Poland, have you seen him yet? How is he sort of dealing with his surroundings? He would never have been in conditions like this before, I'm sure.
I don't think so. Obviously, I think he's been groomed only to fight in Poland. I think that's where he's been based his whole career. I think all of his fights have been based in Poland as well. So I think this is his first international experience. I think as you know, a lot of fighters are intimidated by their first international experience. It's a big jump. So I think he's got a lot to tackle for himself, which is not my problem. My problem is obviously making sure that Junior becomes world champion. What he's experiencing, I've experienced time and time again. So it's part of the boxing world. You live and you learn, and they will experience it firsthand, and they'll take that experience and hopefully grow from it. It's for them. I'm not sure if they have arrived. I think they arrived today. I haven't seen.
Ilunga took a little bit of a hard path. You went to Russia twice. First you fought Kudryashov, and then you went to go beat Papin as well. Two really tough Russian contenders and big guys. When you look at those contenders and you look at the Polish guy, how do they compare?
Okay, so for me, I think Kudryashov is one of the biggest punchers in the Cruiserweight division, next to Dotikos. So for me, Kudryashov is definitely one of the biggest punchers. So it was a big fight for us. Obviously, Junior had showed the quality of his chin to take what Kudryashov had given. It was an entertaining fight. I think the fans were jumping. You had there was tons of reviews I'd seen on that people spoke about the fight, and everyone really enjoyed the fight. So Makabu really stood up against Kudryashov, showed his worth and that he's back. So it was a good entrance fight for us back into the international scene, should I say. Yes, he had fought Mabika, but for me, Mabika wasn't really a threat for Makabu. So I'd say Kudryashov was a good step back into the stage, being, should I say, hit by one of the biggest and hardest hitting cruiserweights in the division. So that was great. Obviously, he came back, he celebrated in his country, they received him very well, and we got a call to head off back to Russia for the Papin fight. Now, bear in mind, Papin had fought that night, and he had an easy fight and won over 3 rounds. So he hadn't taken much, should I say, punishment or anything like that going into the Makabu fight for his side. So Papin, obviously trained by the same trainer as Kudryashov. You must now understand that Kudryashov's trainer has now studied Junior for 4 or 5 months going into this fight. So they came very, very well prepared. Obviously, they knew beforehand that they were going to fight Makabu, and we weren't aware, so they had started preparing earlier. So we got a short notice there. It was only 4 weeks. We headed out quickly to Europe, put in a very intense training camp, went to Russia. We put Papin down in round 8. it wasn't ruled a knockdown, but it changed the fight. And we knocked him down in round 12 and we secured the victory in Russia. Papan stylistically is one of the best boxers I've seen for that Makabu had faced. He's got a very good boxing IQ, and he's got a lot of fight experience. So his IQ in fight game is very high, and a lot of people undermine what he's capable of doing. And I think he's definitely one of the strong cruiserweights in the division, and guys need to be careful when he makes his return back to boxing. So Junior's fought two great competitors going into this fight, and I'm grateful for it because he's had the wars, which means he's conditioned for it, he's ready for it. He had a tough 5 rounds against Kudryashov, we had tough 12 rounds against Papan, so I definitely know he's definitely ready for this fight.
And Junior, you say he's ready for this fight. Of course, he is fighting in his home country. We spoke now about him fighting in Russia. Is it a more of a relaxed mindset, not knowing that you have to be on the back foot from pretty much round one?
Not really at all. I think Makabu knows he needs to give this his all to make sure he gets it, and he had the opportunity once, he didn't succeed, so he knows he needs to give everything to make sure he gets it. So I think it comes with its own pressures. When you travel abroad, the pressure is on you definitely, but there's not as much pressure as when you fight at home. I think when you're at home, you want to make your people happy. So there'll definitely be pressures going into this fight, and I think it will be good for Makabu because I think it'll bring out a different spirit in him. I think he'll bring out the fighter in him, and he will want to make his people proud. So he'll stand up to the occasion. If we're going to play a chess game with Cieslak, we'll see. If we're going to go to war, we'll see. But I know my man is ready for anything and everything that Cieslak wants to bring, and he's been very well prepared for this fight. This is our 10th fight week that we're going into now for us, and for me, I think he's in the best condition, and should I say, it's the best I've ever seen Makabu in training.
You say it's the best you've seen. Last time, he's walked this walk before where he's fought for the WBC, fought Tony Bellew. It was noted that he obviously didn't have the best training camp, let's say, leading up to that fight. How much different is it this time around?
Yeah, look, I think he's prepared extremely well for this fight. So he's got everything he needs. He's got all the tools. Like I said, we trained exceptionally hard. We didn't train in South Africa. We went abroad. We were away from our families over Christmas. We were away from our families over New Year's. We spent a long time in training camp. A lot of people went away on holidays. We were at work. We were in the gym on Christmas Day. We were in the gym on Boxing Day. We were there on New Year's Eve and on New Year's Day. So while everyone was resting, enjoying time with their family, Makabu was away from his family, and so was I. We put everything we needed to into this camp, and that's why I say he looks the best he's ever been, and that's because he's given everything he's had to into this camp, because he wants to make sure he becomes world champion.
You got the WBC world title shot now. If all goes well, we're all hoping that you bring back the green and gold. Another guy that's sort of climbing and sort of sneaking up on you is the current WBC silver champion, Thabiso Mchunu. That's another fight that I think a lot of South African spectators are sort of salivating over. They want the rematch one day, and of course Thabiso has to do his part, and so does Junior. Do you think about these sort of things?
For me, it's not a focus right now. Obviously, our focus is the world title and then what doors will open for us there. Yes, Thabiso's in the background. He had a good win against Lebedev, but my biggest question for the fight against Lebedev was, what is Lebedev going to bring? That's the biggest question. We know what Thabiso will bring, but what is Lebedev going to bring? And we saw it at the fight, and I said to Sean before the fight, I said, well done on securing the deal. I definitely think you boys will win it. And I said it to him at Empress Palace. And for me, I knew Thabiso he would win, because the biggest question came down to, does Lebedev have it? He's been out for so long. And it showed he wasn't in it anymore. And for the man to turn around after the fight and say, I'm retiring because I don't want to embarrass myself in front of my people, tells you a lot. So he knows he doesn't have it, so that's why he retired again. So well done to Thabiso and Sean. They've done a great job. I'm sure Sean's got his plans on what he wants to do with Thabiso and continue to grow with Thabiso. I'm glad Thabiso's back. It gave us one of the biggest fights in South African history. People were off their seats. People went crazy in Durban. So if it happens again, it happens again. But it might happen in the rumble in the jungle. So if Sean's ready and Thabiso's ready, there's a possibility it could happen. But I think it'll happen in DRC, not in South Africa. I think that ability. I think that needs to be afforded to Junior, as we fought Thabiso on his home ground in Durban. he needs to afford the opportunity to us in Kinshasa. But to be honest, I don't think it's a fight that we will see anytime soon. I think there's a few bigger things that we need to accomplish, and first and foremost, we need to win this world title, and then we'll know the direction as to where we go next.
Okay, let's go back to this fight again with Cieslak. What do you think he's good at? I mean, we saw him. He stopped the likes of Yuri Kalenga. I mean, that's a feat that not many boxers get to do. Did you look at that? Is Kalenga maybe past it? I mean, what's your analysis on that?
Yeah, I don't think Kalenga's at the best of it anymore, and he stopped Duradollah as well. And to be honest, Duradolah's not there anymore. So people go, wow, he stopped Kalenga and he stopped Duradollah. But Duradollah is a fighter that blows hot and cold. I don't see much in Duradollah as a big threat to the cruiserweights, should I say to the top 20. So Cieslak is number 8. Obviously, he's worked his way there on BoxRec. He's deserving of that spot. He's number 2 by the WBC. He's there for a reason. He has got something. Like I said, I saw some loopholes in him, but I've seen some threats as well. So I think it's going to be a great fight. I'm very confident going into this fight. I don't write off anything that Cieslak can do. He is a Polish fighter. There's been many Polish world champions before. So he's a tough competitor, and I look forward to the fight.
Looking at the cruiserweight rankings right now, I mean, you got 3 guys from Africa rated in the top 10 on BoxRec at least. I mean, usually we're accustomed to the sort of the Eastern Bloc dominating. That's it's now the turn of Africa. Do you see a change in sort of momentum?
I think it's great that we've got 3 Africans in the cruiserweight division, because if we look at it, we've had a tendency of not really having big guys in, should I say, South Africa that are featured in the bigger divisions. We've had the odd guys here and there, the odd heavyweights, but it's nice to see we've got 3 competitive top-level cruiserweights, which is nice. It's actually a good change instead of having all the small guys that are in the top 10. So it's nice for us. There is a bit of a change. Is there going to be more cruiserweights after Junior, Tabiso, and Kevin? I don't think so. I don't really see any cruiserweights that stand out for me at the moment. Obviously, there's still a lot of time that needs to go into the guys that are currently there that need to be groomed. Will they make it? I'm not sure. I'm not really following it. But let's see. Right now, it's nice to see 3 Africans in the mix, and it brings attention to the African continent, which is good.
Yeah, the fact that we can have some super fights on our own soil kind of, it's a feel-good factor for us. What's your prediction for this fight between Junior and Cieslak?
So normally I do give a prediction, but when it comes to a fight of this magnitude and for the WBC world title, I don't want to make predictions. I want to just state that my boy will win, and my boy will win well. I believe in Junior. It is a tough fight, but I believe Africa will be extremely proud come Friday night.
All right, Damien, any last comments before I let you go?
No, all's good, Hayden. I hope you guys will stay in the loop on Friday. I'll do my best to keep you guys posted as soon as the fight is over and the results. So let's have everyone behind us in Africa. Let's bring attention into Africa and not attention into Europe and America. Let's build African boxing, whether you're a trainer, a manager, and you've got your own fighters in your own divisions or in the same divisions. It doesn't make a difference. We need to expand our boxing, and we need to bring great fights to Africa, and we need to bring the attention to Africans and South Africans that we're able to breed quality. And the only way we can do it is if we do it all together, and we put our efforts and our energies into the sport to continue to grow it.
I couldn't agree more. If we all work together, hopefully we can make it happen, and we all sort of going towards an end goal. All I wanted to wish you was all the best for your fight, and again, hoping that green and gold's coming home. I really do.
Thank you, Aiden.
All right. Cheers.